Hare Krishna. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, entitled Questions by Vidura, Text 44. This is Text 44, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1. It's April 2nd, 2022. Ajasya Janma Utpata Nasanaya Karmani Akartu Grahanaya Pumsam Nanu Anyata Ka Arhati Dehayogam Para Gunanam Uta Karmatantram Ajasya Janmot Patanashanaya Karmanya Kartu Grahanaya Pumsam Nanbanyatakor Hati Dehayogam Arogunanam Utakarma Tantram Ajasya Janmot Patanashanaya Karmanya Kartu Grahanaya Pumsam Nanvanyata Kurhati Deha Yogam Arogunanam Utakarma Tantram Ajasya Janmot Patanasanaya Karmanya Kartu Grahanaya Pumsam Nanvanyata Kurhati Deha Yogam Parogunanam Utakarma Tantram Ajasya Janmot Patanashanaya Karmanya Kartu Grahanaya Pumsam Nanvanyata Kurhati Deha Yogam Parogunanam Utakarma Tantram
Ajasya Janmot Patanashanaya Karmanya Kartu Grahanaya Pumsam
Karmanya Kartu Grahanaya Pumsam
Nanvanyata Korati Deha Yogam
Nanvanyata Kurhati Deha Yogam
Parogunanam Utakarma Tantram
Parogunanam Utakarma Tantram. Would anyone online like to recite the verse? Okay, and we'll go to the word for word. Ajasya, of the unborn. Janma, appearance. Utpata Nashanaya, for the sake of annihilating the upstarts. Karmani, works. Akartu, of one who has nothing to do. Grahanaya, to take up. Pumsam, of all persons. Nanu anyata, otherwise. Ka, who. Arhati,
arhati,
may deserve.
deserve,
Dehayogam,
yogam,
contact of the body.
contact of the body,
Para,
para,
transcendental.
transcendental,
Gunanam,
gunanam,
of the three modes of nature.
of the three modes of nature,
Uta,
uta,
what to speak of.
what to speak of,
Karma Tantra,
karma tantra,
the law of action and reaction.
the law of action and reaction.
Translation: the appearance of the Lord is manifested for the annihilation of the upstarts. His activities are transcendental and are enacted for the understanding of all persons. Otherwise, since the Lord is transcendental to all material modes, what purpose could he serve by coming to earth? So we're reading Canto 3, Chapter 1, Text 44, purport by Srila Prabhupada. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. That's from the Brahma Samhita, Chapter 5, Text 1. The form of the Lord is eternal, blissful, and all-knowing. His so-called birth is therefore an appearance only, like the birth of the sun on the horizon. His birth does not, like that of the living entities, take place under the influence of material nature and the bondage of the reactions of past deeds. His works and activities are independent pastimes and are not subject to the reactions of material nature. In Bhagavad-Gita, it is said, Namam karmani limpanti, name karma pale spriha, iti mam yo bijanati, karma birna sabadyate. That's 4.14 Bhagavad-Gita. The law of karma enacted by the Supreme Lord for the living entities cannot be applicable to him, nor has the Lord any desire to improve himself by activities like those of ordinary living beings. Ordinary living beings work for the improvement of their conditional lives, but the Lord is already full of all opulence, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation. Why should he desire improvement? No one can excel him in any opulence, and therefore the desire for improvement is absolutely useless for him. One should always discriminate between the activities of the Lord and those of ordinary living beings. Thus, one may come to the right conclusion regarding the Lord's transcendental position. One who can come to the conclusion of the Lord's transcendence can become a devotee of the Lord and can at once be free from all reactions of past deeds. It is said, Karmani nidahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. The Lord minimizes or nullifies the reactionary influence of the devotee's past deeds. Brahma Samhita 5.54. The activities of the Lord are to be accepted and relished by all living entities. His activities are to attract the ordinary man towards the Lord. The Lord always acts in favor of the devotees, and therefore ordinary men who are fruitive actors or seekers of salvation may be attracted to the Lord when he acts as protector of the devotee. The fruitive actors can attain their goals by devotional service, and the salvationists can also attain their goal in life by devotional service to the Lord. The devotees neither want the fruitive results of their work, nor do they want any kind of salvation. They relish the glorious superhuman activities of the Lord, such as his lifting Govardhan hill, his killing the demon Putana in infancy, etc. His activities are enacted to attract all kinds of men, karmis, gyanis, and bhaktas. Because he is transcendental to all laws of karma, there is no possibility of his accepting a form of maya, as is forced on the ordinary living entities who are bound by the actions and reactions of their own deeds. The secondary purpose of his appearance is to annihilate the upstart asuras and to stop the nonsense of atheistic propaganda by less intelligent persons. By the Lord's causeless mercy, the asuras who are killed personally by the personality of Godhead get salvation. The meaningful appearance of the Lord is always distinct from ordinary birth. Even the pure devotees have no connection with the material body, and certainly the Lord, who appears as he is in his Satchidananda form, is not limited by material form. Omagyanatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitamyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Upakadamayam Derati Svapadantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Tapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Upam Sagrajatam Saganaratanditam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanditamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpata Yubhyashta Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, Text 44. Ajasya Janmot Patanashanaya Karmanya Kartur Anaya Pumsam Nanbanya Takur Hatiteha Yogam Papoganam Utakarma Tantram. The appearance of the Lord is manifested for the annihilation of the upstarts. His activities are transcendental and are enacted for the understanding of all persons. Otherwise, since the Lord is transcendental to all material modes, what purpose could he serve by coming to earth? Okay, right. So it is. It's welcome everyone. And I'm here at Malini's ashram in Alachua, Florida, with Malini and Payal Damayanti Ladini Shakti. It is said in the Vedas, Natasya Karyam Karanam Chadijite. So that means that, okay, God, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has nothing to do. So that's what's described here. That, yes, that, okay, so it says like, why should he desire improvement? And the Lord is already full of all opulence, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation. No one can excel him in any opulence, and therefore the desire for improvement is absolutely useless for him. One should always discriminate between the activities of the Lord and those of ordinary living beings. So it's like, so the idea is, okay, so Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like, okay, like to improve his knowledge, he doesn't need to get a degree from an Ivy League university. To improve his strength, doesn't need to go to the gym. Okay, to improve. What's that?
That's what it means.
That's what it means. Yeah, that's what it means. And to yeah, so of course, spiritual life is ever expansive. Krishna is ever expansive, but nothing to do. So yeah, to improve his economic condition, doesn't need to like study the stock market and see. Okay, so this is yeah. So it's described. Janma karma chame divyam evam yogati tatvata chatvidayam punajanmati mamiti sarjuna. It's an oft-quoted verse from the Bhagavad-Gita, 4th chapter from Bhagavad-Gita. That one who realizes the transcendental nature of the activities, appearance, and the activity of disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is liberated from the material modes. So, you know, so in like the Sattva environment, we have this like have to get to, right? Have to get to. So that's what we're talking about here. So for the Supreme, for Krishna, everything is get to. Everything is get to. There's no have to. Everything is get to. So that's what we want too. We want that for ourselves. We want that everything is right. That's what we're looking for. That everything, because everything is get to means everything's pastime. Have to is work. Right? Confucius said, "If you love what you do, you'll never have to work." Okay. If you love what you do, you never have to work. So so that's what we're all aspiring for, that everything is a spontaneous play of divine love. We're going for that, and that's what we're all looking for. And all right, and so okay, and so that's the situation with Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then Prabhupada emphasizes in the purport, so that's everything is get to for the pure devotees of God. Okay, so nothing's for, everything's pastime. Okay, right? It's like in mundane. Okay, like, well, I have to go to work. Oh, but on the weekend I get to play golf. I have to do this and that. Have to take care of the bills. But in the summer we're going to take a vacation and we'll hike in the mountains. It's like I get to. That's my plan. But of course, that's a metaphor, because even, okay, so like even in what's called mundane consciousness, so even the get to, even the vacation, even the golf, it's maybe it's still coming from the modes of nature. The modes of nature, well, for most people, I think it's not coming from the pure transcendental Shuddha Sattva platform, like the mode of, right? Like it's still part of eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Okay, like I have so much stress. Okay, so let me just watch a movie. Let me just play some tennis. It's like an escape from the, like it's still coming from to escape from fear and that sort of thing. Okay, so we can see, we're all looking for that freedom. We're all looking for that, where everything is pastime. So for Krishna, even the material energy, even the material world, that's pastime too. So, yeah, so this is all my pastime. All the difficulties and struggles of my life. No. For us, the material life is not pastime. We're forced to come here due to material desires, due to that's due to the gunanam. Yes, gunanam, the three modes of nature. So for us, it's not pastime. Okay. So the example is given, just like in the prison house, the prisoners can say, "This is all my pastime. This straitjacket, this this being locked in the cell. I get to see. I get to go outside. Half an hour a day or something." No, it's not pastime. You're forced to be here because you misused your freedom to violate the laws. Now, the governor, the president, the warden might visit the prison, might even hang out with the prisoners. So someone who's not very intelligent, not very aware, might see, oh, look, there's the governor in the prison too. He just went into he's even eating in the cafeteria of the prison. The governor's a prisoner too. The governor's a prisoner too. No, there's a huge difference, right? The prisoner is kind of like, okay, I want to leave now. No, you don't get to leave. Like your term is for 50 years. But the governor is coming by mercy, is coming by grace, right? Maybe to associate with it, give them some hope or something. He can leave whenever he chooses. So that's when Krishna and the pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, Jesus, like that. So like they might visit here, but it's pastime. They can come and go as they please, whereas we're forced to take birth according to the mode's material nature. So this very word guna, so it means string, it means rope, it means string. So we're bound. We're bound by the gunas, and that's why, like last Saturday, Tushta Krishna Prabhu gave the class, and it was about activism. And like most activism, it's about, because we want to be free from the oppressors. We want to be free from the oppressors. Let's be free. Yes. And but then, so let's be free, and let's not be bound by, because it's true, like the cultures we were born in, and that or all around us, the systems like that. It's all built of the ropes that bind us. So we can say, yeah, so let's just be free and do what we really feel and not be bound by society and stuff like that. Right. So if I were to just say what I really want to say and do what I really want to do, the world would not be a better place. Okay. So because we can try to free ourselves from this, from what we got from our parents and our upbringing and government, and free ourselves. Okay. But then if the very desire for freedom is still enmeshed in the gunas, in the strings, in the ropes of material nature, then we're not going to free ourselves. We might trade some rajasic strings for some tamasic strings, okay, like that. So this is natural, to want to be free, to want to be liberated. It's natural. It's natural, and a genuine spiritual process gives a process by which to do it. It means, like, if we're just relying on sentiment, let's break out of the bonds. First of all, it's like, philosophy is important. As human beings, we're meant to be philosophers. So because if I say, like, if I just say what I really want to say and feel what I feel and do what I want to do, the world won't be a better place, because I'll probably be driven by maybe even lower modes of nature than the modes that are binding me now. But if I really understand who I am, okay, if I really have realization of who I am, C.S. Lewis said, we don't have a soul, we are a soul, we have a body. So I was mocking the sentimentality, just do what you're going to do, mocking that, right? Because to the extent that I'm misidentifying who I am as spirit, soul, connected with super soul, just connected with God and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If I really understand who I am, okay, from that platform of consciousness, if I really do what I feel like doing, that will be liberating. Okay? And so that requires the capacity to understand philosophical nuance, to make philosophical distinction between a false sense of me based on false identification of who I am, like thinking I'm this body, thinking I'm this mind. Yeah, then the feelings that are derived from there, the speech that's derived from there, that'll just entangle me further. Okay. So that's why it's just like, yeah, just do it you feel. The idea, like, we can appreciate, the idea is, because we all want liberation. We don't want to be bound by the ropes, by the prison bars of the modes of material nature. And then for it to not be sentimental and for it to be effective and potent. So that requires a scientific process. Evam masana manaso Bhagavan Bhakti Yogata Bhagavat Tattva Jigyasa Mukta Sangasya Jayate. That once situated in goodness, connected, that when the desire for devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is irrevocably established in the heart, then we achieve positive scientific realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the stage of complete detachment from the modes of material nature. So this is happiness. So it's important to follow a process where we can actually experience that liberation. Otherwise, attempts at freedom will probably entangle us further. So that's why it's like, and when I first developed the Vedic personality inventory. What I said to the professors was, my endeavor is to establish an empirical basis for happiness. Empirical basis, meaning that what the Vedas assert, to the extent that we cultivate sattvic activities, habits, and worldviews, that will correlate with genuine happiness, fulfillment, like that. So, right. Okay, so this process in Prabhupada in the purport, he says like this process for actual liberation, not just a sentimental, let's free ourselves from the government or this and that, and then, okay, so so we got rid of the old boss, and now we got a new boss. I'll be the boss. Okay, but so whoever we're following, are we free from the modes? Right? The basic example, modes means strings, ropes. So like if you're all tied up and I'm tied up too, I can say, don't worry, I'll help you. I'll rescue you. David, you're all tied up in ropes too. Oh, you noticed that. So, but that's what's happening, even in the name of gurus, in the name of spiritual life, in the name New Age teachers or whatever. Okay, in the name of whatever, but is the one that we're endeavoring to get knowledge from. To what extent are they free from the modes? And if we're putting ourselves in the role of teacher, right? If we're not free from the modes, then we're cheater. It's not teaching. Okay, so it's not completely true, because like we're not free from the modes, but I'm going to make sure that what I'm giving is free from the modes, that it's an eternal transcendental process. This eternal, sometimes eternals, that's a long time, eternal. That's a long time, eternal. But that's not really the conception. Eternal doesn't mean a long, long time. Eternal means outside of time. It means outside of the box, outside of the 9 dots of time. That's really what it means. It's really what it means. And just like in the ancient Hebrew, the Old Testament starts with the words, Bereshit bara Elohim hatashamayim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Which means in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. Which indicates that God is transcendental to heaven, earth, and the beginning, transcendental to time itself. So eternal, it really means outside of the 9 dots of time, outside of time. So this is gets to the essence of the process, to the extent that we really want liberation. And this is the encouragement is, don't, live our lives in such a way that we're not forced to come to prison again. That's intelligence. We're not forced to come to prison again. And to have that intelligence, to be britavrata, to be determined for that. So the process, okay, well actually the process starts with association with others who have some or a whole lot of sincerity to like, I really want to liberate myself from the modes of nature. So by associating with devotees of Krishna, by such association, we develop the soul's natural urge and attraction to hear about Vasudeva, to hear about the pastimes and the name of the Lord. That love of Krishna is eternally situated in the hearts of all living entities. It's not something that needs to be gotten from some external source. And it's naturally awakened by this process of hearing and chanting. So how do we, so the diamond, Saint Teresa of Avila, one of her books, this is from like the 900 years ago, but she talks about seven mansions. She uses the analogy of the soul as a diamond with different mansions, with different rooms and like that. So for the diamond in its cleansed state, for the diamond in its pure state, it's natural to be celebrating the glories of God all the time, hearing and chanting all the time, and to kind of remind us of who we really are and what our actual blissful activity is, to associate with others, just like we're doing here. And then Shinvadam Sakata Krishna Punya Shravan Kirtanam Vidantastoya Bhajani Vidunati Sarit Satam. That Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma super soul in the heart of all living entities, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, to actually be truthful and sincere, and personally cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So we hear and chant, and then we're free from the modes. So this, trying to get to the essence here. So the more we're engaged in this hearing and chanting, then we hear and chant and we're immediately free from the modes. Prabhupada gives the example like if we're in the ocean, we're drowning in the ocean, because we're drowning in the ocean. Just like there's the example of like a fish out of water will just flop and die no matter how many material amenities it has. So similarly, if we're in the water, even for a good swimmer, at some point we're going to also flop and die, because it's not our natural habitat. Our natural habitat is land. So like we're drowning, we're struggling, we're in a lot of distress if we're in the water. I mean, sure, once in a while, like, let's take a swim. Okay, that's okay. But like if we're there and there's no land for 2,000 miles, we're in distress. And Prabhupada says that, and even if we're lifted 1 inch out of the water, then we're relieved. Let's say, okay, we're in the river, we're drowning or something. But even like, okay, then someone lifts us into a canoe or a rowboat. Maybe it's not this like big ship. Maybe we're not flying like a bird. But even if we're like 1 inch, even if we're one inch, okay, this is relief. This is relief. Okay, it's liberation. Okay, so here we are, hearing and chanting Srimad Bhagavatam, and we can directly experience Tadara Jasta Mobhava, Kamalabhadayascha Chitai Teranabhinam Stita Sattve Prasidati. We can directly experience that this is liberation. Right? Our anxiety is relieved. Right? And during Bhagavatam class, everyone's a pure devotee. Everyone's liberated. Okay, all right. And so to be there steadily, we were just talking about this. You said it's generally a gradual process. It's not automatic. So to give ourselves to this devotional association, and to this hearing and chanting, because like, what does the realized enlightened soul do in full enlightenment? It chants Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And it serves and worships the deity. It's dedicated to Krishna's pleasure, meaning those are the activities of eternity. See, other approaches to liberation. Other approaches to liberation, they might have some wisdom and benefit in the futility of empty material life. But then, okay, now what? It's like detached from material life. Now what? What are the activities in liberation? And most don't really have a response to that. So then, because our nature is to be active, so then we'll come back and let's play golf, or let's get a job, or like that. Okay, because we need to be active. So here, just like, okay, so the idea is like, okay, let's dress Radha and Krishna very beautifully. Let's dress Radha and Krishna very nicely. Let's make sure they're fed nicely. let's please the pure devotee, because let's transform the quality of our desire to please Krishna. And that's the activities of eternity. And again, eternity doesn't essentially mean a really, really long time. Eternity means that which is outside of time. Bereshit, bara Elohim, et hashamayim v'torah, in the beginning, meaning we're connected with the source of everything, connected with the very ground of our existence. Hare Krishna. Okay, so to be free, to be liberated from modes of nature means like we really get tired of living a superfluous life. And I mean that not just like in a psychological way. Let's have deep talks. And deep talks can help, but like to understand philosophically, right? So that to the extent, so when I'm alienated from myself, then I'm going to associate with them. To try to feel alive and vibrant, I'm going to associate with the modes of material nature. I'm going to associate with the modes of material nature. I'm going to misidentify the self, the subtle material mind, or the gross material body, and then that's a superfluous life. And then genuinely, sincerely, not just as a cliche, realizing who I am is not the body, spirit, soul. Okay, then we're going to the essence. We're going deeper, and then okay, and the spirit soul, as a spirit soul. Okay, and we use that term a lot, all over Sappho. Connect with the highest guidance within. Okay, all right. So it's a nice term. Okay, so in technical terms, it's the Paramatma. We are the Atma, then sitting right next to us in the region of the heart. There's the Paramatma. Adantarasta Paramatma Chantarasta. Right? So Krishna is within every atom. There's an expansion of God, expansion of Krishna in the heart of all living entities. Sarvasya Chamridi Sanivi Sto. Nice. Okay. So to connect with super soul. Okay, so and then Krishna says, Atavabo Naitana Kim Gatina Tavarjuna Vistabhyamidam Krishnam Ekam Stito Jaga. Krishna says to Arjuna at the end of the 10th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, well, what need is there for all this detailed knowledge of material, wonderful things? With but a single spark of myself, I pervade and support the entire universe. Yes. Yes. So the super soul is with the spark of Krishna. The super soul is the spark of Krishna. So this is getting to the soul of the soul and the source of the soul of the soul. So that's the very ground of our existence. And that's why Prabhupada says that, so you might say, we often say, this process of bhakti yoga, the process of chanting Hare Krishna, it's the journey and it's the goal. It's what accelerates us on the path, and it is the path, and it is the goal. Okay, because Namo Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Bigara Purna Shura Nichya Mukta Dina Bandama Namina. That Krishna is non-different from his name. So we chant Hare Krishna, and then we chant Hare Krishna. We read Prabhupada's books. We engage in deity worship. We share this transcendental knowledge with others. Again, transcendental means completely outside the 9 dots, completely outside time and space. Okay, so these are the activities of eternity. And then we feel, this is like I've risen above the water, even if it's only 1 inch. And if we want to be like really solidly liberated, that means being steady. That means being steady in devotional service. And what we're given here, a process to each day of our life to be deeper and deeper in associating with eternal sound vibration. That's what it means, like a fish in water. Right? Our nature, spirit, soul is to be absorbed in eternity, right? In those pastimes, those sound vibrations, those activities, those communications that are that are completely outside material time. Yeah. Prabhupada describes the spiritual realm. It's a place where time is conspicuous by its absence. Time is conspicuous by its absence, material time. Okay, and so so this is a scientific process for liberation to whatever extent we choose to give ourselves to it. And, you know, we describe one process from Bhagavad-Gita, 2nd chapter, 1st canto, and that culminates with, like, again, the gunas means ropes or knots. Granti, vidyate vidya grantis, chijante sarvasamshak, shiyante chasya karmani, drishta eva minishri. Okay. So we hear, we chant, we develop sattvic habits, sattvic qualities, and then the knot in the heart is pierced. That's happiness. The knot in the heart is pierced and all misgivings are slashed to pieces. Right? And then that's described here in this verse. And then the karmani nirdhati kintucha bhakti bhajam. And then there's no, then it's no longer action, reaction. It's like I work and again, then everything is pastime. Everything is pastime. And then it's not material karma anymore. And that comes from transferring our desire from transforming the quality of our desire. From desiring to please my false sense of self. Right? Yeah, I am David Wolf, I am pale, like that. Please the false sense of self. To, in a sense, to pleasing my real self. And how's my real self pleased? By desiring to serve Krishna. How do we know what will please Krishna? We know through his pure devotee. So by serving Prabhupada, serving his mission, then the real self comes alive in the natural joy of spirit. In the natural joy of spirit. Okay. There's more places we can go, but I think I'll pause there. I'll read the text again. Jasya janmod patanashanaya karmanya kartur grahanaya pumsam nanvanya takur hatideha yogam parogunanam utakarma tantram. The appearance of the Lord is manifested for the annihilation of the upstarts. His activities are transcendental and are enacted for the understanding of all persons. Otherwise, since the Lord is transcendental to all material modes, what purpose could he serve by coming to earth? So he doesn't have to come here. We were forced to come here, just like some criminals forced to go to prison. And Prabhupada emphasizes something in the purport I didn't so much mention. The verse says his activities are transcendental and are enacted for the understanding of all persons. So all persons. Prabhupada references the verse from the 2nd canto. Akama sarvakamava mokshakama udaradi tivena bhakti yogena yadeta pusham param. Means whether, but I got so many material desires. Oh, great. Okay. So we're meeting you where you're at. And here's our recommendation. Chant Hare Krishna. Well, I want liberation. I don't know about this service to God. Oh, you want liberation. Great. Chant Hare Krishna. Okay, I want pure devotion. Chant Hare Krishna. Etan nirvi dhyamananam ichatana katobayam yoginam nipnirtam harinama kirtanam. That this process of chanting and hearing, this is the eternal process. It means it exists outside material time and space. This is yoginam nipnirtam harinama kirtanam. This is for, we got lots of material desires. I just want to be finished with the material world. I do want devotional service. Kirtan, Harinama Kirtana. Hare Krishna, thanks for your presence. I welcome any questions or comments at this time.
I really like the
when I first heard of the concept, I remember hearing it from Poppy. He was doing a science of self-realization
Yeah.
class right after I did the advanced seminar.
Okay.
I think it was like that. And
Yeah.
he's the one, I remember the moment he expressed to me or to the class, hi everybody. Hare Krishna. So Avi Wolf expressed to me in 2014 in a class that there's an original constitutional position of the soul, and that I also, yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like there's something that I do in eternity.
Yes.
And
Right. That
like,
resonated.
yeah, like what is that? Like what
Yeah.
does the soul do? And
Yeah.
it's, anyway, I already believed in that kind of concept, like
Yeah.
that there's a nature underneath my
Mhm.
conditioning,
Yeah.
but then to expand it to like, well, there's an eternal soul, and what is this soul doing? And
Yeah.
It makes sense to me that we would be like serving
Yeah.
with love
Serving
to
with
the
love.
absolute truth.
It's
So
the
that's
truth.
sort of like I had little
Yeah.
leads in, like little things that already resonate with me to like be interested in Bhakti yoga. But yeah, like what, of course we would serve with love, whoever the absolute truth is. Who am I to say at this point that I know who and what it is? But that's how I was feeling. So I just want to express that resonates with me. I do have another question.
Okay, thanks for sharing. And what's your question?
I came to the class with this question. I feel like we ended up touching on it, and it's well, there's I think there's a Bible verse, and I want to find it, but it's something like about how the path to the kingdom of God is narrow. Like there's like a narrow gate
Sure.
to get there.
Yeah.
And well, for me, it's like, if that's true, then I feel liberated by the knowledge. Like, well, what is the path to God?
Right.
So, and I don't know what the quote is, but I think it's there. And I'm wondering if there's like a Vedic version of like, the path is narrow type of what I think it means is like, we need to let go of all the so-called freedoms that of our desires.
Yeah.
And like just start to let go of our identity and let go of all of our material modes and walk the straight line that is provided. And but that is liberation, even though it sounds so narrow. Anyway, this is what I already was contemplating before coming here, and I wonder if there's like some references or places Srila Prabhupada speaks about that, the narrow path to God.
Yeah, well, I mean, all over the place. Now, as far as that exact quote, okay, thanks. And then what you said, well, your first sharing about the, makes sense that we have eternal activities, and that's where, at least in my experience and study, like what we get through Srila Prabhupada, the line of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. What are those activities in the liberated state that's just most elaborately described in the most detail compared to anywhere else in my experience? If you look at the Christian Catholic mystics, it's there a little bit, like that. And of course, just because we've been fortunate to connect with this vast reservoir of realized knowledge like that doesn't mean that we are advanced, but it is just the most comprehensive description of the path and the results in the path. So I've seen or heard that what you're talking about earlier in this chapter. Prabhupada, he uses the term the Pilgrim's Progress. He's referring to a book by John Bunyan called The Pilgrim's Progress, a very famous book in Christianity. And John Bunyan talks about the narrow way, and it's like it's a journey. And so as far as like that exact word used in Sanskrit, I don't know, but the idea, but we can see this path that how should tata sadhu sangato bhajan kriya tatona tani vritisya tatoni stauchistata means that, like, because even we're on the path, but then we become proud because I become detached, and then we're off the path, and we don't even know we're off the path, and we have subtle material desires, and like I want to control with my knowledge and like that. So I mean, I like the way you described it. There's that term, Dhritavrataha, right? So, because Krishna says, like, if we really want to make this our last lifetime, it requires ardent, intense determination. Ardent, intense determination. And so it's like a narrow path, and then that liberation, there's nothing confined about it, right? Like every spirit soul, all of the innumerable spirit souls, we can't even begin to conceive numbers, but every spirit soul has a unique, different flavor of relationship with God and with each other. And just like in this world, there's so much variety and so much beauty and like power. And this is just a pale reflection compared to the variety that's there. So narrow, so there's a dry thing, but it's narrow in the sense, just like, yeah, we, an example we gave the other day, like, okay, like let's say if someone wants to be like a top athlete, Olympic gold medal, like that. So, and someone like, yeah, that's what I want in life. So we could say, okay, it's, that's a very narrow path. It's a very narrow path. It's just like, well, I want the Olympic gold. I want to be top athlete, and I want to, and I want to like, sleep in until about noon, and I want to, I want to eat, I like junk food. And it's just like, no, it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. Like, I mean, like you want to be a top athlete means like your eating is controlled. It means like your resting time and your sleeping and your working out time, and maybe some recreation, but like, really, really conscious and controlled and disciplined. So, and so it's top athlete. So this goal of pure devotional service, pure enlightened, pure devotion, this is like so much more precious and valuable than, having a successful business that makes $1 billion or winning a gold medal. This is so much more valuable. So we would expect, like, yeah, it's going to require like even more determined effort than to become a master athlete or violin player or something like that. So in that sense, yeah, narrow path. It's like, if we're whimsical, reckless, not rigorous, then we might make some progress with some sentiment. But we really want to, like, get that gold medal. Okay. Dritavrata. Satatam kityantumam yatantascha dritavrata. Namashantaschamam bhakti nityuto pasate. So Krishna says, okay, so the path is this chanting and hearing, kirtan, satatam, to always do kirtan, satatam kirtan. How, with what flavor of consciousness? Yatatansha dritavrata, which means an unbreakable vow of determination, if we really want to get out of the ocean of material existence. So the principle of narrow path is all over there. It would be an interesting search to like find the Bible verse, look it up in Prabhupada's folio. I wouldn't be surprised, because he quoted the Bible pretty much. He quoted a lot of, especially the British authors and things like that. And see if Prabhupada uses that like that, but the principle is completely there. Thank you, Damayanti. Yeah.
Thank you. I have a few questions and a few comments, so I can give you one by one, or I can give you all at the same time, what you prefer.
Oh, give me everything.
Give you everything. That's a joke. You can make it after he comes back. And so, first question is about the beginning of your class about pastimes.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Krishna doesn't have anything to do, Lord Vishnu really does everything to his expansion, and he does that as a get to.
Yeah.
And you get to reclaim his part and parcel, basically. When it comes to the cosmic manifestation, there is a get to. And you made a point that, yeah, it's an illusion to think it's my pastimes.
Right.
It's never my pastimes. However, is it illusory to think it's Krishna's pastime? Like, okay, it's Krishna. Okay, Krishna creates, but like looking at my own life, like of course there is action reaction under Maya, the material energy. But Krishna is involved in all
He's involved,
that
yeah.
because, not even a blade of grass moves without the sanction of the Lord. So like that's one question. And then connected with what you were sharing earlier about Akama Karmova. I was thinking, yesterday we read in Krishna book, and it was really a fascinating reading from the prayer of the personified Veda. It's really the only philosophical, like completely philosophical chapter of the Krishna book, and it's also the longest chapter.
Yes.
We have been reading it for a few weeks. Usually
Sure.
we have been reading 1 to 2 chapters per reading.
Yeah.
And we are like on the prayer by the personified Veda maybe for 4 weeks already.
Yeah.
And so it's so philosophical. And yesterday there was a really nice sentence that was highlighted for me, is that Srila Prabhupada, in responding to the prayer of the Veda, it says, he approached it from a different angle than most of the time. It's the same thing, but maybe I heard it differently. Is that of all the process of self-realization, jnana, karma, yoga, there's so many processes of self-realization. Then all of them, when there is annihilation of the cosmic
material
manifestation,
cosmos,
all of them disappear.
Yeah.
They all disappear,
Right.
because they are temporary. You're saying like eternal time.
Yeah.
They all disappear. They don't exist anymore.
Right.
And the only one that do exist is Bhakti Yoga, and because it's not a process of self-realization.
Right.
Because it's eternal Sanatana Dharma. It's an eternal occupation of the soul.
Yeah.
So when everything is annihilated, the whole, unwinding of the cosmic manifestation, the activities in Bhakti Yoga are still there.
Yeah.
While all the other process of self-realization just disappear. So I thought it was really aligned with what you're sharing.
Completely.
And then
I'll share a few comments.
Mm-hmm.
I just follow. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, well, no, but you can.
Well, I have a limited. I have a memory that's within the 9 dots. Yeah. So thanks for that. And so that's it. So of those processes, bhakti, it's the only process that itself is transcendental. We gave the example that if you're tied up, you're not going to free me. And so those other processes, they're grounded in matter. Jnana, my intelligence; karma, my work; yoga, my great ability to be austere. So it's grounded in matter. Whereas bhakti, it exists in the eternal transcendental realm. So we connect with bhakti, whatever our modes of nature, connect with bhakti. So that's the transcendental process. And I like how you quoted Prabhupada there. So bhakti's never destroyed. And the other processes, their goal is to lead us to bhakti. And my understanding is everything to do with the mixture of the modes, it is Krishna's pastime. So we don't want to misuse that. So this foolishness that I'm involved in, that's Krishna. Well, it doesn't make me great, Which is true, but that doesn't mean you should start worshiping them. Yeah.
And then connected with my last comment, like, I always say, if you want liberation, approach Krishna. If you want not yet commodity, approach Krishna. So I was thinking about that. I was thinking, like, okay, we can look at that as, okay, the impersonalists, they want liberation.
Yeah.
So that's outside. We want to bring them to Krishna.
Yeah.
But internally, I was looking at, we always want liberation.
Yeah.
If we were going around the road, we will find we always want, whatever misery we have.
Yeah.
We want the misery to go out. We want the people to stop doing what they do. We want the weather to change, we want the government to change, we always want liberation. And so in those moments when we want liberation, we can choose Krishna and Krishna consciousness and just focus there. And I recently had a conversation with someone, and we were thinking about, is it in someone like avoidance also?
Right.
It doesn't seem to be, because Bhakti Yoga is absolute and eternal.
Yeah.
So like, okay, I don't want to deal with that. I'm going to read Bhagavad-Gita, or I don't want to deal with that. Let me chant, and after 4 rounds, my mind will be somewhere else. So in a sense, it could be looked at
As an escape.
Or avoidance. And I was just meditating on that, when is it and when it is not. And in a sense, one of my response, and it's not complete, but that even if it is, it is absolute in consumption, like the consumption of Krishna consciousness is absolute, regardless. So if it is for liberation, for avoidance, it's still the best process we can go to. Even better than trying to solve or communication, whatever. Or coaching.
It's the ultimate escape.
It's the ultimate escape. I'm just, that's what I'm putting on the table.
Thanks.
Question, comments?
Yeah, sure. So, right. So then, maybe we're then we're fortunate if our escape is to Krishna consciousness. I just want to escape to chanting Hare Krishna, to reading Bhagavatam. I just want to escape. So we're connecting with the eternal. We're in the name of escaping from reality. We're actually unknowingly, perhaps, deepening our connection with the ground of all existence, the substratum of all existence.
With reality.
Yeah. Now, with reality in a much deeper way. Now, but if I'm doing it to escape, I just want to escape the responsibilities and anxieties of life. So I'll chant another few rounds. Okay. Now, well, that relates to devotional service, as you said, Molly. It's absolute, it's eternal, so it's all auspicious. At the same time, we can look at what's my consciousness in doing devotional service. In the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Kapila Dev, he talks about devotional service in different modes. So if I'm entering into devotional service just because I just want to escape, and I don't even understand that it's eternal, but I feel better or something. Okay, so the chanting or the deity service or the books, that's always purely transcendental. But I might have some ignorance or passion going on in approaching it. Okay, and so still it's purifying. It's purifying. Apavitra pavitrava saravastam gato piva sabaya bhyantara suchi. It's purifying. However we touch it. At the same time, we can cultivate cleaner and cleaner consciousness in approaching devotional service, like devotional service in the mode of ignorance. In the mode of ignorance might be I'm doing it in a grudging mood, or maybe out of fear. Devotional service in rajas, maybe I'm doing it so people recognize me and I get some appreciation. Devotional service in sattva, I'm doing it for my purification and compassion for others. And pure transcendental devotional service, I'm doing it out of love of Krishna. So yeah, so that it's like the scenario you described is ironic, because to escape reality, instead of going to vodka or just mindless TV, I'll chant some rounds. But so it's kind of like that's like a transcendental trick, because we'll be connected with the actual ground of all reality, and simultaneously what's the consciousness I'm bringing to the transcendental eternal process of devotional service. And we can bring cleaner and cleaner consciousness as our life goes on, and then our progress is more and more rapid.
So what you're saying is that, let's say, when dealing with that situation, I'm just going to worship Krishna. I'm going to chant. I'm going to read. I'm going to just be with Krishna. That is a material motivation, motivated by some mode of material nature.
Could be.
And at the same time, it's purifying to our devotion service. It's purifying those modes too. It could be, it doesn't have to be. So
It doesn't have to be. We need to examine the consciousness closely.
we need to examine the consciousness, because it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, the person I was discussing with someone who was very elevated, I believe. And it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Like Srila Prabhupada, maybe he had things that he was dealing with and he was letting them be and surrendering to Krishna and focusing on Krishna, knowing Krishna is taking care of everything.
That's pure transcendence.
But that's pure transcendence.
Yes.
It's not an avoidance like that. So it can be mixed, like, okay, I'm going to avoid reality and then, of course, be transported to the reality. I can be also like, this material world, it's just like, I don't want to spend so much time here. Let me do what I like to do. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. Nadine Shah. Hare Krishna.
It is like, in my experience, it's like a self-correcting process.
Yeah.
So let's say I do practice Krishna consciousness because I want to avoid something. And it's like avoiding responsibility.
Yeah.
It's not like coming from like, well, I know that I will not solve this problem with my material mind. It's a useless waste of time. Let me focus on Krishna. It's more like, I really don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
It's like, so eventually, okay, so I go on Harinam Sankirtan and I chant extra rounds and, I invite guests for Bhakti Yoga. And then eventually it will like hunt me anyway. Like I will not, that's my experience. I will not, it's just like a self-correcting process. Okay,
Yes.
so I like try to escape, like with the alcohol, like I try to escape, but the next morning,
It's still there.
the problem is still there and
so
I have a headache.
Yeah.
So it's actually a very similar experience for me with this. Like, okay, so I go on Sankirtan, I get really high, and the next morning the problem is still there and I feel like low down in the pit. So and what I'm saying in my experience is like a self-correcting process.
Yeah.
Let's say I want to avoid something with chanting Hare Krishna. But if Krishna wants me to go through that, or my karma wants me to go through that or whatever, it will stay with me.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I mean, I think I have some experience of that. And so like I want to avoid something, so I'll chance to mix rounds. So the alcohol examples there, at the same time there's differences because no, because even if I'm doing something from lower mode, like just Rajasic, when I avoid Tamasic domain, okay, let me just read a Gita purport. But then when I come back to it the next morning, I have fresher, higher level realization about how to effectively approach that difficult problem. So just want to make a distinction for the analogies there. And and then I like the GPS thing, because like, oh, it's still there. So then the purpose of Krishna through those modes in my heart is to approach devotional service with more and more clean motivations.
Isn't it, just a small comment, isn't it still, like, let's say you do avoid with Bhakti Yoga, next morning you have to face the thing, you don't have to. What if, like, it's not there and it got resolved? It's like, it's only still there if Krishna wants us to still be there. Like, if he really wants us to face something or handle something, it won't go away, but it can go away. Like, sometimes things can just like get resolved, and maybe it's because you purified your consciousness, or maybe like something shifted out in the world, like if Krishna wants it to. I just wanted to add that.
Maybe those problems was just because Krishna wanted us to focus on him. Then there is no reason for the problem anymore, because he achieved his
The whole point of the problem was that we could have like choose a trick of transcendental avoiding, and he's satisfied because we're back with him, and that was the whole point, and things resolved. Yeah. that could be a fun way to look at life.
I certainly have that experience. Like I might have all sorts of stresses and anxieties, and then just change up in the morning program, and then it's not even like I got the solution. Sometimes it's oh, there's actually no problem there. Paya.
Thank you for class. I'm really appreciating how you shared about eternity.
Yeah.
My experience before of eternity was always like, ugh, like forever. Like, Kwan's okay with me sharing. It sounds like a lot, like really heavy. I remember thinking about like before getting married, I'm like, forever? Like forever is a long time.
Oh,
So when you shared that, I really experienced just a shift of, well, eternity is outside of time.
Yeah.
And like when we're with Krishna, like time doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Like I'm not worried about how long is this going to be.
Yeah.
And I related it also to this idea of like, in not meditation, but mindfulness, like wanting to be
Yeah.
present.
Yes.
Well, where else can we be present but with Krishna?
Yes.
And like where else does time stand still in eternity with Krishna? So I just really was appreciating that. I want to thank you for that. And also
that whole concept of eternity, it's not just like really, really long time. Oh, this is scary.
yeah.
But that's outside of time.
It's timeless.
Yes, time
And the timeless place is always the most relishable time anyway. You know, whatever timelessness we experience here is always the most relishable
Most relishable.
moments
Yes.
that we are in our life.
Well, we're not worried about like how long is this going to take.
Yeah.
If we're actually with presence with Krishna, then that is the most fulfilling time. Like time, moment.
Timelessness.
Yeah, timelessness. And I also was reflecting a little bit because I've been in meditation, as we were talking about, like what we're meditating on is I'm turning 40 this year. And just really looking at, like you shared in class, like, okay, well, what really matters? This is all temporary. And like we can go for the Olympic goal, we can go for the most successful business on the planet, but what actually remains? And you know, I'm practicing, doing my best to practice bhakti yoga, and still I notice myself like wanting the material things, and just still I notice myself questioning, like, okay, I think like coming closer to 40, it's like, oh, it's really real. Like the ship is really going down. Like I will not be 20 forever.
Yes.
I really did think for a long time that I was going to be in my 20s forever.
Yeah.
And now that I come closer to this time period, and you know, watching Zion grow up, it's just so it's like I don't know, I've just really been sitting with Kwan and asking questions at night, and you know, really looking at like, do you understand that we're at the second half, Krishna willing, the second half of my life. Like, I still don't know how long I have. And like, what is the best use of my time? As we're talking about time, like how do I continue to use my time urgently and wisely? So I'm just sitting with that, and as you're sharing and talking about, like, okay, you can get the Olympic gold medal. What are we gonna do? I also thought about my grandmother leaving her body.
Yes.
She did so much in her life, and she left with nothing. And outside of, you know, she chanted the names of God every single day as well. So, you know, for her, I experienced her as very connected to Krishna. Her name was Krishna.
Her name was Krishna.
Yes. So, I mean,
Special.
yes, she's a very special soul. And so just reflecting on that and how I feel like she taught me, like, here, you know, we're not permanent here. So what's important while I'm here?
Well, we investing. Yeah, in our business. It's all about investment. Like investment of our energy, our time, our thought process, and are we investing in something that's lasting after death? Or are we investing all our time, energy, and resources in something that's gone?
Gone anywhere.
Like, at least gone at the time of death, and probably before that anyway. Yeah.
Yes. So temporary. And how long does it actually last?
I appreciate these realizations. And like it was like Melanie asked earlier about like, okay, well, the modes of nature is that all Krishna's pastime. So we say, okay, so like, okay, so Pale, you're reflecting on the modes of nature. So when your psychophysical, the modes was in your 20s, forever 21. Yeah. Right? Yeah, right. 20. Now, okay, the modes driving the body, it's like 39, approaching a big 40. Okay, all right. So see, that's Krishna's pastime, right? Because so Krishna is using that pastime of the modes of nature and of the body of the person called Payal to support your realization, to deepen your determination, your enthusiasm to be Krishna conscious. So I see that as a very alive example.
Krishna's pastime in the form of Kala.
Yeah, in the form of Kalos me, I am time.
So Anandini had the
Anandini.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'm appreciating the conversation, and I have one comment and a reflection. And regarding what Malini shared, the last things she shared about taking shelter, well, for me, my thoughts around it is that it's maybe important to make a distinction. Am I taking shelter to am I escaping like some kind of response to a situation?
Yeah.
And that's where I go, that's why I read or where I chant. Or am I taking shelter because my response is not going to change the situation? It's not going to, it's not in my control. So I can just go under the umbrella and wait for the rain to stop. And so that was my thought around it. And then I was contemplating on, so this to get out of this cycle of birth and death, we should have to get to please Krishna. And I'm just thinking how, and then on the opposite, there's this example also Payal used it, the ship is going down. So when the ship is going down, it's like a panicky situation. Everyone's in panic and it's fear. And so how can Krishna expect us to please him when the ship is going down? Like who has the sober mind to remember?
Well, that's it. We need to be an Olympic athlete. Yeah, we need to be an Olympic athlete, right? So going to that, and I appreciate your question, because that's the point. Because so like Payal just shared. All right, so you say, okay, 40. That's different than 20. Okay, and now she's responding like, all right. So let me do those activities that are outside of the time. Let me make a good business investment and not just, focus on things that will be destroyed by time. All right. But not everyone responds like Payal, right? Like many, when they get to 40, it's just like, oh, I need to have plastic surgery. Things are changing. Look at the color of my hair. Oh my God. Oh my God. And and look at that. And my high school friend has more money than me. The ship's going down. I need to panic. I need to rearrange the chairs on the Titanic. Right? No, but like if so, like whereas the spirit soul called Payal is like, oh, she's trained as an Olympic athlete. All right, the ship's going down. All right, so let's get real clear. Let's not just rearrange the chairs. Actually, here's a true life raft like that. And then Prabhupada makes that point, right? So like old age, disease, death. It's meant to move us to be more sober, to engage in that which is eternal, right? But for most people, it just leads to more panic. It just leads to more panic. I need to. What about my retirement fund? It just leads to more panic. And then the time of death, it's a fun, because then like there's so much pain going on. There's so much pain, and generally we just panic, and then we'll just, whatever our mind's attached to, we'll just latch on to that, and that'll take us to our next birth. So it means that, as the body ages and disease and then death, that we're so well trained, like an Olympic athlete, we're so well trained that even at those times of panic, we know what to do. We know what to do. We know where to go. We know where to take shelter. And it's not easy. It requires that we're really disciplined and trained.
Thank you for your response.
Thank you, Anandi.
I just wanted to go back to that conversation. Thank you, Nandini, for your comment, because you made me, I think more like that. So let's say there's a situation and I don't want to go to Krishna for Krishna to solve the situation. I don't even want to go for Krishna because I'm in pain and I want the pain to go away. But let's say one wants to go to Krishna because that's who I am. Like everything is temporary, and that's who I am. And allow myself to be entangled for a little while, but I really don't want entanglement. I can see it, and I go to Krishna, and that's in that consciousness. Then what is that consciousness? I'm just asking.
What mode of nature is it?
Yeah, is it mode of nature? Is it not mode of nature? I'm just in a question about that, because I think that's where we were really going like that. It's not to find a solution. It's not to take shelter of Krishna, like, oh, Krishna help me. It's not either like, oh, I'm going to avoid, but more like, material energy.
Hare Krishna,
I'm tired of the material energy and entanglement in it. And then I just want to be with Krishna.
Well, that sounds transcendental. Transcendental to material desires. Because that's who I am, right? But it's not. I mean, there can be different gradations, but who the soul is an ecstatic lover of Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of like one's absorbed in who I am as a blissful servant of Krishna. That's transcendental.
Kind of having a lapse, like, oh, I got entangled again. Oh, I don't want to be entangled.
Yeah. Let me return to myself, which can sound self-absorbed, but we return myself as a lover of Krishna, a servant of Krishna.
I'm accepting Krishna's plan.
Lidine?
Well, I had, but it was not for file, so.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.